Hello and welcome to Business Today Television. This is Prerna Lidhu, and we of course have with us Mr. Rajiv Kaul, who's a part of BT's Best Bank jury. He of course is the Executive Vice President, CEO and whole-time director at CMS Infosystem. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
So, yeah, sure. So tell me about the selection process and like what was the most challenging part about being the best BT Best Bank's jury?
Well, I think it was the docket and the work which KPMG and BT had done was very exhaustive. It took a lot of prep to go through it. The categories were very exhaustive. The contenders are fairly very close. And of course, the jury deliberations and looking at both, in many cases you saw impact on a broader basis versus very cool innovation and sort of balancing that out and trying to figure out who deserves an award amongst a fairly eclectic nomination list was quite cool.
We've put you in a tough spot. And tell me, going forward, digital is going to be a big theme in the banking sector. How do you see that transformation, a few years from now?
I think it's already part of our life in so many ways, and banking is just one part of it. What we have seen with all the fintech innovation in India the last decade is that banks, large incumbent banks, have accelerated the use of this technology and also sort of proven the fact that if you really want to make impact in India, and I'm talking about, we've got 100 million new Indians who've got a bank account. These people will need access to credit and capital. A fintech by itself will not be able to do it. I think it will be done through the large banks. And therefore, adoption of technology will only scale in India in partnership with large established banks in the country.
Anything that you would want to add about today's winners? I'm sure we've put you through a very tough time today.
Well, as you know, I can't comment on any of the winners, but I think it is fantastic to, well, as a company which works in the banking infrastructure space to a large extent in physical payments, we work with many of these clients. But they're also cool to see a lot of new companies in the fintech side and also see how Indian banks, both small, mid-sized, large, and NBFCs have shown resilience. And, we think of the 2015-16 NPA crisis, and then you think of GST and COVID. And today you see a very strong, well-run banks with high governance and systems. So I think these awards are going to get tougher and tougher. I think whichever the jury is next year, I wish them luck. I think we had a tough time deciding what we did, and the next year also will be quite difficult.
Leave us with some of the few key trends for the forthcoming years. What do you think is going to be affecting the industry a lot more than we saw in the last few years? Like, how do you tap into these trends?
So a lot of problems, the easier problems have been solved or are getting solved because you can see the impact of that very easily. Let's talk B2B lending, MSME lending. But at the broader level, you think of lending on access, financial inclusion. How do you go train all of these new users in or consumers to use technology? I think that's a big challenge. And there, I'm pretty happy to see a lot of the smaller banks are doing a lot of good work in educating those customers to using technology. So therefore, how easy is it and how safe is it and how do you go and train these people to use it? I think it's going to be I think that'll be the biggest challenge and the opportunity for the banking sector.
And India is in a good position to sort of leapfrog in terms of technology and adoption.
I think fundamentally, you think of the country, right? We think of the country and you think the policies which have been set into place. We are set for a decade of expansion and growth. I personally have been saying that banks will help lead this because they will provide the credit. We still have very low per capita GDP income. That will go up with access to credit. And therefore, banks are in the center of the Indian economy's growth and expansion potential. And I think a lot of it will be done through technology. And therefore, a lot of the infrastructure has been put into place. And now we just have to execute to see the growth really start delivering.
On that optimistic note, thank you so much for your time and all the best.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks.